Marvel Zombies, episode 3, and this episode I thought was interesting because this one has a lot of heart. This is the one that gives you a lot of information. This is the one that kind of fills some gaps. This is the one that's meant to kind of hint what's going to happen in the final episode, because once again it's a collection of 4 episodes. There's a lot of stuff happening in this in like a span of like about 27 minutes. So there's a lot going on. Like, we have a whole fight. We have a whole, like, filling up the gap of what happened, like, what happened in the cliffhanger of the What If episode. Of the What If episode where Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Ant-Man walk into a Wakanda that's full of zombified Wakandas and a zombified Thanos, and you fill up the gaps there. And it gives you some hints of what's going to happen in the final episode. Plus, there's some important things that happen with what happens in this episode. Spoiler alert, Thor shows up. Hinting, there. But it's able to give you enough time of it. There's also stuff, but with Thor's story, it feels satisfying in a way. Satisfying enough. Gives it enough time to linger, or what his dilemma is, and why he's not doing the things that he's doing. Gives you enough time. It gives you enough time for... Not enough time. I will say this. The one thing I wish they had maybe an extra couple of minutes of, or maybe extra 3 minutes of, is Wanda. Wanda shows up in this episode more, and she speaks. And, she speaks, and I wanted a little bit more of her explaining why. Like, I get it. We got a minute to kind of do it. To her kind of just give her motivation. But for me, I'm like, the thing about these Marvel animated shows is, I heard this perfectly. It's like for the TikTok generation. It's the cliff notes. It's like boom, 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 and there's no time to just breathe. 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 Like, breathe. Just it's pace. And I thought just a simple, just these characters. Wanda trying to explain herself, and before we get to the big climax, the big fight of, like, our characters, our heroes are fighting as Gaian zombies, along with Wanda, who is, I think I call, what is it, the queen, the queen dead, or the dead queen, that's what it's called. I think I actually call it the dead witch, was kind of more fitting, but might be a little bit too on the nose with her being the Star Witch and all. But it's a really able to piece these scenes together. And then you have the stuff where Gaia, because where Gaia is just dealing with the fact that his wife is dead. His daughter is dead. Probably Tassa's dead. Yeah, Tassa's dead. Tassa's dead. So his family is gone. So he's dealing with grief, and of course his natural response to grief is eat more. He does what he normally does, but this time it's more for mourning. Get drunk, eat. But at the same time, there's this beautiful scene between him and him and Miss Marvel. And it's a really well put written scene. And the good thing about the show, like, naturally the gimmick is, hey, Marvel characters are getting turned into zombies. Oh my god, look at the gimmick, right? But they're able to have these little moments out through, even just like characters dealing with the fact that character is now gone. So I'm like feeling very impressed with it. Like, they're trying to find a way to make this work that makes it, the gimmick is more than just the gimmick. There's actually, you can do a lot with it. And I'm like, okay, cool, awesome, great. I quite like that. But yeah, when Wanda shows up and then she's now working sharp, I was like, yeah. I mean, look, Wanda, regular Wanda, we're talking about WandaVision, Multiverse of Madness Wanda. She's one powerful woman ever. I mean, she did chop, she did turn, wee witches into pasta, blue pasta, but she's powerful. But there's a level fight. Once again, when the zombies come in, it's a whole different game. It's a whole different game where you just like they know how to play the horror. And this is the episode where they do a lot of like talk. It's just people just randomly talking. They're just talking at a regular pace, and then the next word they just turn into the zombie selves. So you go, ah! That's what happens. I was like, that's what happened. And that. Did I mention that Sony was the reason this wasn't a movie? Apparently, Sony was the reason, but it makes sense. Spider-Man is their character, and it's a very different thing using Spider-Man characters, but it's a different, but there's a difference between Spider-Man and Spider-Man characters, and Spider-Man is, let's be honest, a character that tears towards children. If this was a movie in theaters, a lot of people. It's a whole thing. There would be a risk of Spider-Man in a R-rated property or MA-rated property would be not suitable in Sony's mind. So makes sense. Even though they did make Kraven, but let's be honest, Kraven wasn't R-rated. It was a PG-13 movie that thought it was R-rated. Let's be honest. But anyway, waiting for this episode, and I also do like each episode gives you a sense of dread, like a sense of like hope is lost, and that each episode, and look, it's 4 acts, so Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, so it's easy to probably have everyone on their little hillside of characters, hit a goal, but then something happens. Anyway, comment below, let me know your thoughts of this episode before I ramble some more.